you feeling the hat, dude?
Dude, oh, still
This is
rad.
like this is from a Speed Wheels box.
So rad.
My dad would save everything, so I was like, "Oh, I got that fucking hat."
So sick. Dude, 34 years.
I mean, it was like 2 days of filming, and like we're talking about 34 years later. That's pretty wild.
How did you actually get started skating?
I was racing BMX. I've talked to like a few pros from my generation, and the same thing. First time I met Chris N, we start talking shit. I don't know how we got on the subject. They put skate on hate ads in the back of BMX magazines. They should not have done that, man, because it was like, damn, look at this fucking Bob Roscott board. Looks insane. Look at this monster coming out of the thing. You know what I mean? I'm riding a Diamondback. You know, and I was like, man, that looks sick. And then a buddy of mine got like a board, and yeah, I just kind of started riding his board a little bit, and I was like, dude, uh, Dad, get me a board. You know what I mean? And he finally got me a board, and I was obsessive, so I was just fucking obsessed with skating when I first found it. You know what I mean? But I didn't
Yeah.
know shit about skating. I was like, oh, fucking power slides, and you know what I mean? Like, maybe for months, like I didn't know anything about skateboarding, so I would skate that orange bank that we went to in the video. I used to BMX on that, do like I think a tail tap was called a flipper on a BMX bike. So I would go there and do all that shit, and then when skating, I was, I would act like I was surfing that spot that we eventually. So I grew up skating that spot, from round zero.
That's a
Um,
sick spot.
yeah, it's still there. I just saw a video. Um, who just had clips on there? Backsmith front big spin. The younger people will know if any of the younger people watching this, but yeah, yeah, that same spot, man. And then, and then my dad was, I think there's a skateboard park in Del Mar. And I was like, what the fuck is a skateboard park? People just go to the park and meet up and skate around. That sounds stupid. You know what I mean? And we went there, and walking into Del Mar Skate Ranch, like, what in the fuck, Because when you walked in, did you ever go to Del Mar back in the day?
Oh yeah.
The keyholes right when you walk in. It's maybe like 12 or something. And I was just like, what the fuck? Um, and then, the next weekend I went back with my dad, and the only thing I had ever skated was that fucking little bank. And I don't know if you remember, like if you walk into the keyhole and then go to the right, there was like the orange tile,
Yeah.
and then there was like the egg bowl, which was just that gnarly. And I was with like my best friend who didn't really skate anymore. He was the one that had a board, but he's like didn't skate. And my sister and my dad, and they like walk into the park with me, and I'm wearing like motorcycle fucking pads and shit, and or BMX pads and stuff, which are like motorcycle shit. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go down this one. And like years later, it took a while to be able to go down from the top of the egg bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm going from just that bank that we skated to like, oh, I'm gonna go down this one. And I go down there and just fucking helmet mark on the side, and I'm like, ah, my sister's laughing at me. I'm just like, fuck you guys. Let me just, and then so I just went to the back walls. But then like I skated there every weekend for like until they plowed it,
Oh,
And
rad.
yeah, so it was fucking great place to grow up skating. But in the 6 days that I wasn't there on a Sunday, I'd street skate with the homies in my neighborhood and stuff like that. So yeah,
That's cool
all
that you
my
were
early
so
stuff.
well rounded from so early. Who were the first pros that you were stoked on?
Um, when we first went there, it was like, oh, that's Tony Hawk, and I was like, that's a real person, like Tony Hawk. Like I thought that was a fake. You know what I mean? A lot of people said it, but um, I was stoked on like the locals there, like Josh Nelson and like Reese Simpson. and the Deal brothers, Jordan Richter, Schulte's brothers. But yeah, it was just kind of the locals there. I didn't really know much about that. And then I started like getting magazines and just getting fully obsessed. And then, yeah, I was probably a big Reese Simpson fan.
Yeah, he was
You know what I
rad.
mean? Yeah, he just had like surfy kind of style, and I was psyched on that. And then like Nodis and Gons and stuff for street. And then, like when Hensley landed, I was just like the biggest Hensley fan and stuff. So it'd be weird. Like later I'd be traveling with him and just being like, oh my God. So
That's wild. I really enjoyed filming with you, and I love that part that we made. What was that your first full part?
yeah, for sure. I think I had a clip in like the Gullwing video, Full Power Trip, and that was like my first clip, and I was psyched on that. And then oh, actually, um, in the Speed Freaks video, I don't know if you remember this, but we'd go up and stay with Danny and shit. Me and my homie Squash and Cookie Head, we'd go stay with Danny. And so the day you came to film Speed Freaks, if you look at that, like the shitty little mini ramp he had, when he's skating it, I'm on the deck and like I'm running up, and it was like me and him skating it while you were filming Speed Freaks. And then later that day, like I had just gone on 8th Street or something like that. Like I knew Danny from like McGill's, and like Jordan and them. And Danny was like, dude, I'm gonna get you on Speed Wheels today. And I was like, the fuck yeah. Like Speed Wheels back then was like, dominated, right? Like it's like the Spitfire, the way Spitfire dominates now, like Speed Wheels kind of dominated. And I think Danny came back to me. It was like, yeah, there's too many people. You can't get on. You know what I mean? And Metaver was there that day. Then we went to Tobin's, Fallbrook ramp.
Yeah.
And Metaver, I think, was there that day, right?
Yeah, he was.
And I skated and I learned like stalefish tail slides over the channel, I remember, and like 360 rails to fakie. And then Metaver, like after the session, comes up to me, he's like, here's my fucking card. Like, you know what I mean? Like, call me up, you're on the team. And I was like so hyped, you know? And also, there's audio of Danny going, you gotta act like you don't even know what bailing is. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So he was talking to Cookie Head. Cookie Head was trying to learn McTwist, and he was spinning him fine and just kind of bailing. He hadn't done one yet. Like, you gotta act like you don't even know what bailing is.
Make it! See what you're doing? You had no reason to.
Huh?
You could have made that so easy.
I know. All right, just give me a couple more tries. Good boy.
See, you'll make it. Watch. Yeah, it's perfect form. Watch. Here's a good example of making something that's a bail.
What?
I'll just freak in the air and make something.
Yeah, Danny.
I scream, that's why. Bailing is psychological. The only good reason to bail is if you're like fully upside down, your board, you're over flat bottom or something. If you're coming around with your board on your feet, there's no reason to bail, ever.
So all you want to hear me say is you got a point, right?
I want to see you make it, that's what my point is. See you later on.
See ya. So bailing's just a state of mind then, right?
Yeah, it's,
So
if he didn't have the state of mind, if he didn't know what a bail was, what do you think he would do? He'd make it.
no, if I didn't know what a bail was, I'd probably slam.
No, that's what you think though.
Okay, so let me get this right. All right. Okay, you want me to do it, and you want me to keep a state of mind that I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, don't even think bail.
Don't even think bail.
Don't even think bail. He's gonna do it.
We're leaving. I'm so sick of Mexican food.
Don't even think bail. You don't even know what bailing is.
I don't know.
Hey, what'd you do to that hay yesterday? What'd you do to that hay?
Feeling if I hurt myself, I'm gonna break your arm, and then I'm gonna break your leg. Okay?
Charlie got minutes to go. You say last run, you're gone.
I'm not saying last run.
He's saying he's making it. That's all that matters.
See, if Fish didn't know what bail was, he would have made that.
Yeah, you gotta think that you don't even know what bailing is.
Doesn't
The
even
only way
matter.
to bail is if you like miss your board or something, and there's no possible way of making it. But if you come around and you got your board and stuff, there's no. It will be your favorite trick to do after you start making it.
Do you know how I do that? First, all I do is bring my hand, I close my eyes,
So do I.
and then I open them. And then I open them when I feel that my head is pointing straight down.
Me too. Same thing. Same exact thing. Why open your eyes? You can't see nothing anyways. Trying to get you to make a trick. I mean, I am gonna get you to make it. You are gonna make it now.
Yeah.
There's no reason you should bail. There's no reason whatsoever. Dude, that was so perfect. You don't even know.
Yeah, but see, the factor is, this is what Tony told me. He said, I've either got to go faster or higher. The choice is mine. Faster or
The choice
higher.
is yours. Here's the
What's up?
choice. Hey, here's the choice. Make. You have no choice. Make it. There's no higher or faster. You can make it. You can make it the way you're doing it. It's perfect. Tony's just saying that because he does them a different way.
Right there.
Just here's what you do. You'll come around, right? You remember this every time. This is the part you come around, and you come around like this, and then you just fall, right? You just kind of go like this.
I fall.
Actually, when you come around, you just go and lean it in. Just go. You know what I'm saying?
We're not. Well, shit, since it is what it's
You're making it now. Just stand it. Stand up. Dude, you make it. Make it.
Yeah!
Darren. Dude, that's it. That's the make. That's it. He made it. He just didn't land straight. Alfonso, leave him alone. Make it! Dude, Darren, stick it. Fuck. Tuck it and stick it.
I don't even feel like rolling, man.
That's why you just gotta keep it on your feet. You're trying to make it now, so you got that.
But yeah, and that was and then that was the day I got on. So then by the next video, me and you were filming apart. So it was really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What's your memories of filming with me and my filming style? Like, I remember ollieing down some stairs next to you as you board slid a rail.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you say flyby? I feel like I was like, this guy's doing flybys because I was we would, I grew up skating with like Pierre Hewitt and fucking, Matt Moffat and those dudes. And like someone came to our park and was like, all right, look out guys, I'm going to do a flyby. And he's like skating up and down the deck. And I was like, oh, this guy's doing flyby and just kind of giggling. But I was like, we were doing stuff quick, right? It was like,
Yeah.
back then it's like a couple tries, dude, I remember I was trying to do a 360 kickflip down the stairs.
Yeah.
And I remember it took a while. Like a while for back then was maybe like 10 tries or something. And you're like, man, let's move on. And I was like, fuck, man, I want to get this one. You know what I mean? Because it was like kind of new, Because I think this video was pre blind video, right? Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. So this is like caveman times, It's pre-blind video days or whatever.
Yeah, but I
Right.
don't even think the company existed yet.
Yeah.
Video cameras were still new. And
Yeah.
before that, we were using film cameras, and movie film and processing was so expensive. So I didn't really want to pull the trigger unless I knew it would be like a make. And
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
changed a lot of that, but still, I was still in that frame of mind where after like a dozen or so attempts at a trick, I would encourage you guys to try something else, then come back fresh and keep trying. But I remember you trying that 360 flip like 100 times. And that's the beginning of the process of how skaters film tricks, like till present day. Like you were at the forefront of that, like already. And I still wasn't there yet. I was like, dude, like, let's try something else and come back. But that's not really the way those types of tricks are. You don't want to stop, like you do it over and over. Like obviously these days you see the whole process in the videos.
Yeah.
But
and it was like so new. Like 360 flips were kind of fucking new. And you know what I mean? And I was like, I really want to get this. I just kind of learned this. Yeah. But it's funny. I went back and watched that stuff. It's just like, there's like stall, nose pick, shove it, like not grinding or we're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do stalls on this thing, or like, I mean, you have the footage. I don't know, like it's funny, but
yeah, it's wild. Like the like real street skating hadn't even been invented yet. We're basically kind of taking tricks from ramps and starting to do it on street, and obviously the boards were still like huge and clunky. It was like vert boards.
yeah.
But another thing that I was thinking about is that I was kind of always amazed that you didn't ride for Hosoi. It seemed like you would have been like the perfect fit. And I guess when you came up, he wasn't really around much, but did he ever approach you?
No, I remember you know, in his one Trans World Pro Spotlight, right? Like that you got back then. He was like, you know, you got these kids coming up, Omar Hassan, Jason Rogers. Like he named 2 fucking people, and I was one of them in his Pro Spotlight. I was like, holy shit, you know, because you know, Christian, man. Like Peter was on Hosoi, and which was sick. Like all those dudes. Like the one day I wasn't at Linda Vista, like the Santa Cruz, like Gavin O'Brien or someone came, and like Fred O'Landy got on, maybe Sean Andrew got on. Maybe not that day Sean Andrew got on. He was a McGill's dude, but like Pete got on, and it was just like, fuck, I wasn't there that day, you know, because I was like, because I would stay with Jordan Richter sometimes, and like his Santa Cruz boxes would come, and they would be like things that are like, one of the stickers now is worth like $50, right? And it'd be like a pack like that of every single, and like Jason Jesse Sun God, like one color pen line boards on like Jordan's shape. And he'd just be like, yeah, whatever, fuck this. And he'd have like a full box like in the corner and be like, oh, open it, whatever. Do you guys want some of these? Like my first sponsor was Stedham. So I'd have a Stedham board like covered in Santa Cruz stickers and shit. Because I was such a fan of like you know, Santa Cruz art and their products. I mean, were so rad. By the time I actually got hooked up by H Street, it was like H Street was kind of fucking dominating. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck. Like, you know, I went to the Shackle Me Not premiere and was just like, holy shit. You know, like this is a whole new thing. I got to get on, you know, H Street, and then like I did good in a couple contests. Like I skated with Tony Mag all the time at Andy's ramp. Actually, in Speed Freaks, again, I was knocking on the door here, but Tony Mag's last trick is a half gay twist 1-footer. Remember that?
Yeah,
And
I fully remember. He kicks out and he goes, JR twist, right?
Yes, dude.
I fully remember that.
And he high fives me.
Yeah.
JR twist.
So like I was already kind of bros with Tony. We used to call him Bilbo Baggins.
Okay. Classic.
Yeah. And then I did good in some contests. So like, okay, you can get on H Street or whatever. So then I was fucking stoked. And then I got on Speed Wheels just after that, and I was like, all right, you know.
What's the big difference for you? I mean, in terms of being an amateur and now you're professional?
Just the level of competition's a lot harder. The pros are a lot better. There's Tony Hawk, Christian, Magnuson, Danny Way, everyone. So it's much harder.
Yeah, but pushes you to a better level.
Yeah, you get a lot better.
You just turned pro. How's that working with your schooling?
I don't really have to miss that much school. It's just like I have to miss a Thursday and a Friday to go if it's a contest weekend, but that's it. And we're on block schedule, so it's only missing one day because Thursday is odd classes and Friday is even, so it's only missing one day. I just get all my work and then do it on the plane or whatever.
trying to continue. Cause every street and avenue I've been through, I've been hearing you. Trying to wreck my brain cells, the devil spiritual, hypocritical, trying to throw me off the rails. Yeah, the madness is everywhere like the air. So it seems to me I'm breathing deadly fumes every season. Now I'm trying to understand the reason and why I'm being perceiving as a heathen. Even if my people are achieving, it's like I feel so distressed, kind of depressed with distress. And my consciousness licks a lyrical shot at the evil chest. So now, death infests the fools are trying to choke us. And I drift into a form of comatose. That's motionless to focus on my people's evolution. Trying to find solutions to the everyday confusion. Cause I'll be doing a rhyming conversation to diffuse mad situations and status. So please stop the madness. Stop the madness. Without the guards watching me like a whore. Yeah, they're clocking me just like an eagle, waiting for my next move, cause I could be the one that is illegal. Ill visions, inhibitions, preconceived decisions about how the youth and I be living. See, your all was down to I annoy ya. I got clothes you can never afford, so you're trying to bring paranoia. Yeah, you're bigging up your chest and you're fronting, but you realize I'm wise and you can't do me nothing. I'm feeling the sense of your eyes watching I. Now I'm in the state of mind to define all the lines in my head, which now holds a grimace. I'm feeling pure disgust at the way that I was frowned upon a menace. The usual thing that you would do is to blow up, but I'm more than average, so I walk from the madness. Stop the madness.
I probably copied did a lot of shit more than invented shit. But I loved all that. You know, like in that part, like I have so many little like lippy tricks, you know what I mean? Like I was just fucking autistic, probably just into like little thing, you know. It was so interesting, all the stuff that was happening at that time. Like I feel like it's just not gonna happen again like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, totally.
from like 86 to like 94 or something, like that compressed time, like all of modern skateboarding was invented, like from the nose to like nollie heel crooked grind down a handrail, you know, like fucking that will never happen again, you know, like
No,
people film video parts for 5 years now, you know, sometimes it's
totally.
it's yeah, it was fucking best time to grow up, you know what I mean? It must
For
have been
sure.
really interesting for you, like going to film like fucking Butch Sturbins and then going to film like Ocean Howl, you know, like what the fuck, you know? And even some of that shit Ocean was doing was fucked. Like I think I might have been on some of Ocean's sessions too. I would skate with him back then too.
Yeah,
And,
for sure. It was
yeah,
crazy. I mean, like
aggressive, man.
Jay Adams would be like cruising with me in the van, you know, and he loved Marcus Wyndham, for example. I mean,
Yeah,
there was just this merging of all these different generations. And I actually started skating in the 70s, like early
yeah.
70s. Like I started in 73. So I went through the entire
Here I was
70,
born. How old are you?
60.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started skating and then loved every single generation, every single transformation. To present day, I still like
Man.
watch everything, but filming like Speed Freaks and Risk It was a raddest opportunity for me because I really like to skate everything, you know, like when I
Yeah,
started skating, it was slalom, freestyle, barrel
yeah,
jumping, high jump,
yeah,
you know, downhill, speed, pools, ramps, parks. And so I've always loved the well-rounded skaters. And the funny thing was in Risk It, like I'm sure you remember that we were pushing the street thing hard because we kind of saw it coming, probably
yeah.
like or
I remember we got
anybody.
a letter from Metaver, or maybe it was you, that was like, uh, you get 1 day to film, but if you skate vert and street, you get 2 days. And I was like, I kind of skate street. Like, fuck, let me see if I could go film street. You know what I mean? Um,
Exactly. See, so
yeah,
we were pushing that, and And you came from a ride everything background, but came in really hot right when the skate industry transformed from vert to street. Why do you think that happened? And how did that happen? And what was it like to be in the middle of that?
I think it was because fucking building a vert ramp is it's a task. You know what I mean? Like, takes a lot of capital, takes land. Um, they were rare. You know, when you'd find out there's a vert ramp somewhere, I was like, what? Guadalupe? Like, fucking, you know what I mean? Whereas street was like, see that curb right there? Take your board and go and fucking nose blunt that curb, you know? And it was, you know, much easier. But for me, like, all my buddies, well, a lot of my buddies were street skaters, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, but they all skated vert. You know what I mean? Like, the average street skater back then still got a crail slide on vert. You know what I mean? A little something on vert. Whereas now it's like, you know, some street pros are like, Axel stall this quarter pike, I'm gonna die, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's that bad, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
Oh, it definitely
back
is.
then it was kind of just how it was. And yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't go to, you know, I live pretty far, you know, from skate parks and shit like that. So it was like, during the week, we're still gonna skate every day. So we would just find shit in our neighborhood, and those were all the spots I took you to. It was like just my general neighborhood I grew up in. That was the stuff we grew up skating, and it's just like, oh, backside lip slide on a bench is so cool. Like, let's learn it, you know? Just like fascination with skateboarding, you know, and just like, I want to learn everything about this, you know? I want to meet other skaters. Like, back then there was no internet. So it was like, if you saw another skater, it was like, holy shit, a skateboarder. And you come over and it was like fucking the Warriors, or, you know, like, where are you from? You know, where are you from? You skate? You know,
Totally.
like that happened like multiple times in my upbringing, where it was like, you see someone with like a, you know, a skate shirt on, and you're like, what's up? You skate? Yeah, I skate. Are we best friends now? Yep. And that's how it would go down. But a lot of time it was just street skating, or like acting like you're skating vert and shit like that on a bank to curb or some shit, you know?
Totally.
But I mean, I was skating before mini ramps, really. Like, when I first started skating, like, remember that island water sports contest in like, St. Louis?
Yeah.
There's a picture of a mini ramp. And I was like, oh my God, like, that looks like the funnest thing ever. So, yes, I'm old.
Yeah, and that was right at the time that 8th Street came out.
Yeah.
And when it did come out, like, it's hard for people to understand now because everyone looks at 8th Street as like the holy grail, but it was goofy when it first came out.
Yeah.
Like most skaters didn't like it, but they changed the game, and it kind of, I think it was all the little kids that started skating right at that point in time, and like kick flips were coming out, and so kids, like, the first thing they learned was like a stationary kick flip on their carpet. Then they'd go outside and learn how to roll. And for those type of kids, like that generation of kids, that laid the foundation for Rocca. And I think that he had a big part in that change, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, because it went from like sort of propaganda, right? Powell to 8th Street. And it was like such a stark difference, you know, where it was like, you know, I'm dressed like a clown and fucking, you know what I mean? And this is shot on 35 mil and stuff like that, to like, this is shot like shit, but like, and it's just a ollie melon on flat, but you had never kind of seen stuff like that. And it was fascinating. So anyone that was just fascinated with skateboarding was immediately sucked in. I mean, I was a huge Powell fan. And then when 8th Street dropped, I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
You were the perfect age.
Yeah. And I was already kind of skating Andes with Tony. So we were just trying to learn everything, you know?
And here's my homies right here.
Yeah, it was a good time to be around, man. I
Totally.
wouldn't have come up in a different time, you know?
No, I feel so like blessed to have captured all that.
Yeah.
The skate industry was about like 98% vert. There was serious stuff that came from mental depression from guys who were on top of the world that literally lost their sponsors because street took over. And you were like in the middle of that whole thing, witnessing it. What was that like?
I felt bad because I was street skating. I was like, shit, you know, like I'm supposed to be this like ramp dude, but I was skating so much street and I was like, you know, I was more fascinated with like a switch backside tail slide on a curb than like any cab heel flip in the air. I just didn't give a shit anymore. Because at Vert at a certain point, you know, once you sort of get the timing and stuff, you can kind of go ee at the top. Not to, do you know what I mean though? But it felt like,
Totally.
okay, I could do this at the top while I'm weightless and then come in. Whereas street, it's like you pull up to a fucking spot. You're like, okay, what is the spot telling me? Does it grind? Like, what's going to happen when I slam? You know, they're just, I just got sucked in, you know, even though I was already doing that, but like as street developed, it was like, wow, there's just so much more to this. Like, and then like, there's like switch, there's nollie, you know, there's fucking, you know, handrails and all that stuff. So I just got sucked in and I was like, hopefully I don't get fired or whatever, you know what I mean? I'd rather, let's go, you know, learn how to do nose grind pop outs on a bench. I did good in street contests kind of, and like maybe got lucky a couple times, like doing street tricks or whatever that like got in openers and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, but you know what I mean? I never thought I was good at all.
You were a very powerful skater that went huge. And what was it like downgrading to like 40 millimeter wheels and
Yeah.
lower tech street based skating?
Well, I feel like we were skating vert on like 45s, you know, and like tiny boards. I felt for a while, I still ride 50s. I was like, this is all you need. You don't need a bigger wheel than this. If I feel like if you have too big of stuff, like it limits what you can do.
Totally.
I don't know. I like to try to think I'm fucking Gino or something, but like I'm not. But it's like I'm gonna have the option to possibly land a miraculous. You know what I mean? Like if I'm on this big fucking honking board, I don't know. Kids ride huge shit these days. Have you seen their boards? Like they're running 56 and like 8.5s. It's just like, dude,
wild.
how are you ever gonna learn like switch hard flip or something? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I didn't want to limit myself, so it was like if I could skate a pool on 40s, then I'll just always ride 40s. You know, at that time, that's what I was thinking. And like, I haven't ridden that small of shit in a long time, so I don't even know what it feels like. But like, that was the mentality. And then like, I just wasn't skating. After a while, there was like Missile Park in San Diego. And I moved to LA and we just kind of street skated and stuff like that. But yeah, it's crazy when you're in it. It's very different, you know, when you look back on it. Like, damn, I should have, you know, been more dedicated to drive to Encinitas and go skate with the Pappas brothers. You know what I mean? Because I'd like kick it with them. I'd go drink with them and shit. But like, I never would be like, yeah, I'm not driving up to fucking Encinitas to fucking heel flip into air and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've just found this new ledge and like we're gonna go learn switch front tails to shove, you know, like more fascinating to me, but I wish I did both, you know.
And in that same point in time, like the magazine is going from like 20% street to 80% street.
Yeah.
Like less than a year. So there's a lot of incentive for you to try to kind of go that direction, but it sounds like it was in your heart anyways. That's what you liked.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up skating with like Donger.
San Diego skating. It's all about San Diego,
and James Frazier. So like, they only skate street. You know what I mean? So it was like, all right. That was just what we were into. So it's just like, we were kids too. So we were just going through what was happening to kids, but we were also kids and just like, we weren't thinking about like our impact or anything like that. It was just like, hey, did you see what, Hensley did or Gons did? Like, I know a perfect rail for that. We got to try this, or, we didn't
Totally.
think too much about like what it meant, what we were doing. We were still just fans, it never really clicked for us like that.
Like it should have. I mean, man, you were killing it. In 93, you did a frontside blunt in a pool and didn't even film it.
Over the light in the El Cortez. Yeah, it was just like funny. It was almost funny. Ha ha ha, tranny shit. You know what I mean? Like transition stuff was like, haha, whatever. But we better go try to fucking skate this ledge later that we found downtown. You know what I mean? Like that's what we were filming. But El Cortez, yeah, we fully were like sessioning El Cortez, like backside lip slides on the split gutter, not filming it. And it was like, fuck, that was such a good pool. I wish we did film that stuff. It was a weird time also. I mean, skateboarding was also dying. I felt old immediately. By 93, I'm like old. I felt old. Once you turn 20, it was like, yeah, here's Chris Branagh. He's a fetus. Get the fuck out of here, you old guy. Didn't you used to have a ponytail? Kick rocks. I remember at the first X Games, they had like a MIDI ramp, like a big mini ramp. And I was doing backside Smith grinds on it. And I'd been at the beach, like fucking partying and shit. And it was like, oh, they have this ramp, anyone can skate. All right, we go there. We're skating. And Pat Duffy's there. And I didn't know Duffy yet. And he does a backside Smith grind. And I'm like, oh my God, he's making fun of my ancient old timer tricks. Like, fuck, this is embarrassing. And it's like I thought I thought the Smith grind was done. You know what I mean? Because there was a time where like, if you had scratches on the middle of your board, it was whack. You know what I mean? Like, it got weird, dude. It was like this very compressed amount of progression in this time, and everyone was like, "Yo, you're whack," and everyone was jiggy. You know what I mean? And it was like, sick, awesome, loved it. You know what I mean? But if you weren't there, like it was an oddball time, huh?
Totally. And your perspective is super interesting because a lot of the people from that generation, they started skating in that kind of fresh 90s era, and you didn't. You had the whole 80s vibe and then went into the 90s vibe. So the way that you're able to look at it now is a lot more logical than a lot of these guys who that's what they started with, and then that's kind of all they knew. But there's a couple guys from that time that I just want to throw out some names and have you like tell me a quick memory of each guy.
Sure. Yes.
Alfonso Rawls.
Oh, the best. Like maybe top 10 all time. Like I remember he had like a little curl, little fro, and he had a helmet that said Pure Energy on the back. Remember that song? Pure Energy. And like jean shorts, and he was doing early grab 540s on this bank at McGill's. There was like a bank ramp, and I was like, man, this kid's crazy. And so every time I'd go there, I'd always be like, and I was like another minority dude. There's a lot of racism in skateboarding back then too, like not sometimes fucking overt. So it's like I kind of drifted towards him and like Fred and those dudes. But yeah, Alfonso, fucking best, man. And like the street stuff he went on to do. And I think people needed to see him just pick apart a mini ramp. You know what I mean? Like, or any spot. Like, because you'd see the clips he would film, and he was very like targeted about what he was filming. And I didn't even realize to be targeted about filming, right? I would just be like, hey, what are we doing? It was,
Yeah.
And so to see the little minutia, I love like full sessions and stuff like that, watching that shit. And so Alf, prime example of someone that just had so much skill where you just be like, damn, he just first run, he's just no hand and nose pick in his slippers. Like, what the fuck is he doing? And I got to see that, travel with him a lot, and so mind blowing every time. Yeah.
Another guy I was going to ask you about, you already mentioned him, was Danny. I mean, you got to hang out with him a lot. And
Danny was a maniac, man. I mean, another person is just like, if you just watch him skate like regularly, you know, I wish I would see more of that, but so cocky, right? Like, remember, like, he does the alley-oop 5 over the channel. And I remember Chinaski was fucking pissed because he just like cranked that out. But it was like just to show you, like, what's up, bitch? Like, if there was someone, you know, if we'd be at a demo or something and like there'd be someone, Danny was like, ooh, like a hot chick or something like that, it's over. Like, and he's just that good, you know? Yeah, the best. I mean, you know, I ran into him when I was a little kid. We were at Hamels, Mission Beach.
yep.
And we're sitting on the wall, and like my dad was coming to pick us up, and I'm like 11 or 12 or something like that. And here's this little white kid, and he's like hanging out with older dudes and shit. He's doing street plants and stuff. And I know he knows we're there. Even though he doesn't know us, he's just gonna fucking blow us out, right? And he's like, let me go get my vert board. And he goes and gets like a brand new like Losi, right? Losi Designs. And he does a ho-ho plant. And I had never seen a ho-ho plant. And we're like, holy shit. And like, you know, we're all trying to be quiet and shit. I never told him about that, but you know, he, you know, when there's someone he wanted to impress back in the day, I mean, I'm sure he's like different man, very, very humble. And when I talk to him, he's, you know, a different guy. But back then he was just like, he was the fucking dude, man. If
No
like
doubt.
Dan was there, and he would, you know, I don't know what to say. You know, he would do shit on tour that was like not even skate related. It was just like, dude, you're fucking crazy, you know? Like, all right, quick story. You can save this for you if you want to clip it, but we're on like a night train through Europe, right? On the Euro rail, blah, we're going somewhere. And then there was like some drunk Euro dudes, and we're like fucking drinking beers with them and shit. And they're like, we're blah, you know, we're so macho, blah, blah, blah. And it starts getting like kind of out of hand. And one of them takes a fucking fire extinguisher and opens the door to the moving night train and throws a fucking fire extinguisher. Boom! We're like, whoa, these guys are gnarly. And like Danny has been quiet, so we're not even thinking about Danny, right? Door shuts. Like 5 minutes later, we hear boom, 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 boom on the door. Danny had gotten out of the fucking train on the next car and climbed across and was banging on the door. He opened the door and Danny's on the side of the fucking train, dude, and gets in the train car. I'm just like,
Outside.
yeah, yeah, at night, like flying, like fucking French Alps or some shit, you know?
Just to show those guys like who's gnarly.
Yeah, yeah. Those dudes he'll never see again. Fuck those guys, right? But like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you saw some shit of him, you know, like
Oh,
his
yeah.
motorbiking shit was kind of gnarly. Like, you know, I saw him dive headfirst into a fucking jacuzzi once off a fence to like him, you know, show some chicks he's gnarly. You know what I mean? No problem. Pulls it, you know? Dude's gnarly. Yeah. Greatest. Best style. Love that guy, man.
Dude, his style was so good. Is so good.
Yeah. And like
So-
there'd be little things he'd do. Like he'd do a stalefish and it would be fully nose bone. Like a nose bone stale. I still haven't seen anyone do that. You know, everyone does the like, he flared out behind him. And he would just do that. And you just be like, God, what am I doing with my life? Like, how does he have that perfected? You know? Yeah. Raddest.
Yeah, we'd be filming and I would throw an idea out there, a variation, like a trick that'd never been done. Hey, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, shrug his shoulders, boom, do it.
Yeah.
Land it perfect.
Well, he had sort of streety background too. So I think that helped him a bit too, you know?
Definitely.
Everything helps everything, you know? If you just limit yourself to blah or blah, like you're going to be limited at a spot. You know, if there's some tranny to a bank to pull or something and you can't do an axle sit on a 4-foot quarter pike, you know, you have to sit down, bro, you know, roll up a spliff, buddy.
Tell me about Marcus Wyndham.
Oh, I mean, super sick. I didn't know him that well. We'd kind of go up and skate with Ocean, and Marcus would be with him. He was on some other shit. I didn't know what to make of some of that stuff. You know, and his early rail stuff was just kind of showed what was possible. One of the first people to be like, all right, dude, back swinging nose grind, switch back swinging nose grind when like the nose was still like tiny. Yeah, Ripper. I wish I skated with him more. I didn't skate with him enough to really, you know, say too much about him. But huge fan, nicest dude too. Those guys were rad.
Tell me about Hensley.
Oh, I mean, I was the biggest Hensley fan. You know, I mean, I feel like so many people from my generation were just like, what was it? You know what I mean? Like we were like everyone collectively, like pros, cargo shorts and a chain wallet. Like, who else has been like that? Like Muska or something to that extent. He was just so cool. And like the way he talked and stuff like that, he had like his own language and shit. And just the nicest dude. You know, I remember like kind of the first time I went to film with him and Ternaski to like the Poway banks, those steep banks with the long curb. And I was like, Ternaski was paying for gas or whatever. And I'm like, man, I get so nervous when we're going to film with Ternaski. He's like, dude, what? He's like, that's his fucking job to film us, man. Don't worry about that motherfucker. Like, just fucking, you know. I was like, damn, he's so cool. I'm such a dork, you know. But then kind of became friends with him and stuff like that. Last time I saw him, I was at the San Diego airport, and they called me up to the thing, and he's at the counter. He's like, what's up, dude? I knew there only had to be one Jason Rogers in San Diego, dude. And he was like leaving on tour with like Flogging Molly or something like that. I was just like,
And he heard your name and went up there?
yeah. Intercepted me at the desk. Yeah. Sweetest guy. I'm such a huge fan of him. I mean, and then his music and just so much style, like raddest dude. Yeah.
So did you ever get to film with Mac Dog, Mike McIntyre?
God, I feel like I did, but I feel like I hung out with him at 8th Street once or something like that. And we all went out to dinner and hung out and all that.
All that film in those early 8th Street videos, like he filmed all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those NorCal, like Simmons and fucking Noah Slasnik and them. I would watch all the snowboard videos too.
Used to film a lot with John Reeves and Donger.
Yeah. I love those dudes, you know.
Oh yeah.
Reeves was so cool. I remember going to like a castle contest. He had like a white t-shirt and like ripped jeans, like big black guy. You know what I mean? Back then it was like, damn, this big black guy is kind of like a punker dude, just hauling ass and like kick flipping over like two staggered parking blocks. And I've never seen, like, kick flips were kind of just starting. Like it was that long ago.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn, that's so gnarly. And then my buddy Donger starts hanging out. I'm like, yep, those dudes are so cool, you know. I was still kind of nerdy with, you know, skating ramps and, you know. So it was like, you know, that was all started taking off. You know, those early castle contests were really, you would see like people from everywhere and just be like, what the fuck are they doing, you know? It was really cool. I wish there was like more footage of those, you know. I know Sloshbach, right?
Yeah.
And you see sort of that same thing, like some chrome domer like drops in off of a fence, like, I'm gonna do, you know, make fun of street and just hits his head, like yeah, that whole thing, you know, like that vibe back then, it was exciting, man. It was really cool. You know, because they'd be like, oh, fucking 8th Street, you know, do a fucking varial, 360 varial. And they would clown. But it was like, dude, yeah, let me do a fucking another sweeper. We would clown back, you know? So it got to a point where we were like, and me and Alf started to get militant about that shit. Like, yeah, let's go do fucking more layback fucking detail, you know? Like we're just gonna fucking do that forever. We're just gonna lay back the tail forever. Like, when Alf would be doing like, nose grind, tail grab, yanks over the channel, and
It changed right then and there. And
yeah.
another guy I have on my list here is Colby Carter.
Well, Colby was more traditional, you know what I mean? But like powerful and consistent, because it started getting sloppy.
Yeah.
And Colby was like fucking rock solid, I remember I was following him through like Moonster, like the street, and we were just skating to get lunch or something like that, and he would like ollie up on something and I'd ollie up, and I'm following him, and then after a while I realized, dude, I can't follow this dude. Like he would hop up on shit, hop off and off the curb, back up the curb, and I'm like, damn, this dude has so much control. He wasn't like slop shot and early flip tricks and stuff like that. He was like skating pools too and stuff like that. And it was like, man, Colby's sort of traditional, but like so clean and crispy. And a buddy. I mean, years later, like on Arcade Skateboards tour, the board company I did later, it would be like, we're gonna go stay with Colby, and like some of the older guys would be like, oh, I know Colby Carter is sick,
We just recently got back in touch after, like 30 years I hadn't talked to him.
Yeah.
And we're going to do one of these also. And same Marcus Wyndham, I just got in touch with him like last week.
Sick.
He hit me up out of the blue, and he hasn't been online or anything at all. And
yeah,
and I was just so stoked to hear from him.
So many good dudes. I would love to see interviews.
Totally.
Fuck, there's so many.
By 92, things were already like getting so tech.
Yeah.
And how about Next Generation?
Next Generation was, it wasn't even like back then. It wasn't like we were even filming a video. You didn't even really know. Maybe the couple tricks in there was like, oh, I want to get this in, I want to get that in. But we didn't have cameras. We just kind of go out with whoever. A lot of that's just tour footage and shit. But that was right after H Street Plan B split. So it was like, I asked Alf, like, what are you gonna do? He's like, I think I'm gonna stay. And I was like, all right, well, I'll do whatever you do. And then we got this kid, Eric Costin, on, and it was like, holy shit, you know? Or like, he was like Eddie O'Gara's dude. And I remember we took a trip to Vancouver. A lot of that's in the video. And Tony Mag was like, what do you think of this kid, Eric? And I was like, probably he's the best dude here, and he might be one of the best skaters there is, you know, like, because he was like, should we turn pro? And like, yeah, like, dude, yeah, have you been watching? Like, this motherfucker's better than all of us. That's when it all started, really. Like EMB kind of started happening and all that shit. Carol came into power, you know. That was when it all started kicking off, you know. That was a rad time. But there was still Vert mixed in and stuff like that, you know? You're still gonna see a Livingston part where he's doing face high fucking tail grabs to board and shit like that. Yeah, that was a nice balance at that point. And then dipshits like me got to put on the big pants and only skate curbs and fuck everything. But I still skated all shit back then. It was just like you wouldn't film it because it was whack, you know, quote unquote. Like, interesting to go through all that shit, man. It was crazy. And all that shit was like one summer to the next summer to the next summer. It was just completely different, you know? Whereas now it's like, oh yeah, I was trying this a year ago. I guess I'll try it again, whatever. Like it doesn't change that much anymore, you know?
Tell me about your lick part.
Oh Christ. Just being stoned and me and my buddy with a camera, you know? Like, let's learn this trick, let's learn that trick. I think Phelps said we had to get small before we could go big, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you look at that time, like, you know, I had to kind of, you know, you're not going to learn switch flip, switch back 5-0 on a fucking bench first, you know, on a handrail. You had to think of it first, you know, and then it was like, okay, who's going to be the first to do this thing? And it was like, I remember back then, it was like your whole part had to be tricks that were never done before. It's the first and maybe only time you're going to land that trick. So a lot of times it's going to be sloppy and disgusting. It was a weird time that we were even like that into the minutia of skateboarding to where the rest of us can be like, wow, never that before. And it was like the ugliest thing, you know what I mean? Like, but then from there, we, you know, people plucked out things. And it's like, okay, matters. This is going to matter. This is going to matter. And yeah, it was maybe like a summer, right? Like 1 year of just like, we were all just, let's do the first nollie flip nose slide, or, you know what I mean? Like, and now that's just like a super basic common trick. So all the sort of bones of what modern skateboarding is was formed during that time. You know, and going forward, of course, but like those first sort of sparks of things, it was cool, you know, disgusting. Sorry, sorry for subjecting you guys to that part, but that was just what we were into. And, you know, had to be ugly for a minute because, you know, it's like someone, you know, playing with the whammy bar for the first time, right? Like it probably sounded like fucking shit, you know? But then after a while, it got refined and became useful, I guess. I don't know how good that analogy is, but
No, I feel you.
sped up, brought to bigger ledges, brought to bigger things.
Kind of going through the whole timeline here, but after that, when things started coming around, guys started going absolutely huge. And I remember you
Yeah.
used to hang out with guys like Daniel Haney and guys like attacking some of the biggest rails of the day for sure. What was that like?
I think a lot of that was like people realized what the human body can take. Whereas before it was like, I think if you look at like the first 8th Street video, the slam section, like the last clip is someone getting sacked. And it's like, oh, my, you had never, because Powell would be like, boink, 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 boink. You like, you wouldn't. And then the 8th Street video is like, this dude fucking racked his nuts. And you were like, I've never seen anything like that, you know? It might have happened to Chris down the street and you heard about it or something, but you never saw it, you know? And that was like, whoa. And it was like, a certain amount of people were like, I'm never doing that. And a certain amount of people started like, okay, fuck it. This is what it takes. And like, I'm going to try 14 stair handrail and body slam off the ground. And then, well, oh, you can survive that, you know? I think we didn't know. And like, we didn't know how to like, you know, kids, if you watch a kid, you know, or top guy or whatever, skate a set of stairs, like the flip catch kick out was never a thing. It was like, okay, I'm going to try to kickflip this gap. I'm going to try to land on every single one of them. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to land every single one. It was never like flick it up to your feet, catch it, kick it away. You know what I mean? So like the kick out, there was no kick out. It was just like, you're going for every single one. And you just pile a fucking ton of bricks every fucking try. And so I think it was an evolution of what, like, how to, like, if you miss getting into a handrail, you can step on the handrail and jump down the stairs, right? Like that technique was not, it was just full commitment before that. And so, although Haney, you mentioned Haney, he couldn't get out of shit. If he got in wrong, he was eating shit. You know what I mean? And he would just eat those slams, you know? But that was after I was kind of like not doing that shit, bro. You know, I was already managing arcade and Audubon, and I was, you know, I wish I would have kept sort of skating through that whole time, but I was, you know, managing 2 teams and fucking filming the videos, you know. But there's probably ways I could have just committed to stuff. But again, I thought I was dusted in '93, watching Pat Duffy do a backsmith on a mini ramp, thinking he's clowning me. You know, I was always fucking neurotic and shit like that. Like, I didn't think there'd be people, you know, doing stale fishes over hips and people being like, yay, you know. I didn't think you could grab your board again ever, you know. And so because we saw that ramp, right, of progression that was just like, pew, and it was like, this is how it's always going to be. So next year's going to be something totally different. Next year, there's no way it's going to come back to crail sliding Tony Trujillo. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, I wish I would have known I could do a crail slide or like, you know, some of the vert shit you see, it'd be like, if I just took my pads off and did my setup run, like that's going to be passable 20 years from now. Like, what the fuck? Like, so I'm glad like people are progressing vert now because there's some bullshit for a while. But yeah, it's in a good place. Skating, I think, all around is in a good place right now. I don't know. What do you think? Do you worry about it getting like too sort of mainstream, or you know?
I don't, because I always know that skateboarding is going to take care of itself no matter what. But I love all the different contests, and I love all the different street parts. And with all that energy of all these different people doing different things, I don't think the corporate world can mess it up. I don't think anything can mess it up. Like there's kids skating in Africa and people are getting good everywhere. And skateboarding is the act of rolling on a board, how that feels to you and your individual interpretation of that. And that's always going to take care of itself. However, as far as it getting like super tech and all that, I've always enjoyed watching tech skateboarding and always taken it just for exactly what it is. And there's been like videos recently of like P-Rod, Naija, coming out criticizing like some of the young Japanese skaters, saying they look robotic, that they're lacking style, which is exactly what people said about them when they first came out. And not me. I was actually always sticking up for those guys, saying, are you kidding? These guys are like the best. Look what they're doing. No one's done this before. And they're doing it clean and they're landing in a nice stance. You know, that's not stink bug. Their arms on all over the place. Yeah, it's a gnarly tech trick, but they're landing perfect. And I see Jinwoo and the young Japanese guys as the same way. Like as gnarly as their tricks are, they're landing bolts. Their arms aren't all over the place. Their knees are in. Their style is good, and it's super tech skating. So I think there's a divide there when, you know, there's always going to be people that kind of criticize the new guys, no matter how good they are.
I mean, you know, I think I heard that someone was hating on Sora Shirai, right? And someone was like, I saw him do like just a 5.0 and it was horrible, you know? Which I mean, there've always been kind of freaks, you know? That's my people. I'm Japanese, right? Like I back those cats, but you know, like Holmes isn't gonna look like that doing a front 5.0, you know what I'm saying? Like style does matter. I still respect the gnarly shit they can do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The dudes that can do everything with style are gonna be the dudes everyone looks up to.
And it's, I mean, obviously apples and oranges, but to me, the styles between like Jinwoo and P-Rod is not as noticeable as like P-Rod to Hosoi or P-Rod to Chris Miller, you know?
Yeah, certain things work for certain people. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you can see them do something new that no one's ever done, then you know it's possible.
Totally. It's such an extreme corner of skateboarding, you know, the super tech, you know, big rails, under pressure. It's, you know, but it seems like the more well-rounded guys are back in style and guys are ripping like everything, you know, like who are some of your favorite guys to watch these days? That just rip everything.
Yeah. Like iShod. I love iShod. I love P-Rod. Also like kind of hardcore streety too, you know what I mean? So I like the Max Palmers and Heitor da Silva. He's like Holmes on street. I mean, there's just so many rad dudes, you know. Jordan Trahan is a friend of mine who just like oozes style. Carlos Ribeiro, incredible. Love Naija, you know. I know some people hate on him and shit, but that fucker goes for it, you know. Like he gets bodied and gets back up and does shit, and like he does it for himself, you know. I think he's like a Danny almost, where it's just like competitive. I like that super competitive style as much as I love like obscure New York dudes, just like fuck the skate industry, like this is the way I skate. Like I love it all. I still love it all. I still watch everything that comes out to an extent. Yeah, it's super entertaining right now. It's maybe too much shit to watch, you know? But when it's done right, you know, when a video hits, it's just like, fuck, I'll go back and watch that shit multiple times. And that could be contests too, you know, like when someone like streety dudes like Antonio Doral will show up at a street league and it's like that guy's a maniac. You know, he's like a fucking animal. Um, it's just as sick as like Yuto to me. You know, I love Yuto too. You know, I wish he would film more of what he can do. You know what I'm saying? Because he could do some shit.
Oh, can you
Uh,
imagine?
yeah, I mean, he does padless flip fives like now, you know, and just someone will catch it on Instagram. But it's like, what if he really focused on making like, you know, a Danny in a brisket part or something with like or questionable, right? Like with full street, full tranny.
Can you imagine? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Like Yuto, Ashad. What if you tried to make like a Nike video that's just like these dudes that can film a sort of, you know, time defining part? It'd be sick.
And how about Jagger wins the medal, then starts filming all these crazy street clips, and then just did the 360 flip on the mega ramp. Did you see that?
Did you just 360 flip the gap?
Yeah.
God, I didn't see that. Jagger's amazing, but you know, he needs to put out a street part, right? Like,
First and foremost.
and he fucking could. He
Easily.
totally could. Yeah, I would like him back on Plan B, fucking working with those dudes, maybe. You know? Um, but I think he's just sort of in his lane, and that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna be comp dude and stuff like that, which is cool if that makes him happy. But like, I still look at things as like a team manager. You know what I mean? Because like you, I made videos with these dudes, and would be like, hey, why don't you try this, or maybe you can got that. And your part needs this or that, you know? And so I work with these dudes, and I push them really hard, you know, like Mike Tonansky style, like where you're like you're your buddy, and you know you're not pushing them super hard, but you're like, I know what you're capable of, I know what I'm capable of, and if my fat ass can fucking do that, I'm not filming it. You know what I'm saying? And so it got to a point where I was like, fuck Jason, I'm gonna film it, you know. And I was like, yes, that's what I want in your head. Fuck me, you know, do that, and they would just annihilate it.
Exactly.
I look at some dudes like Jagger and be like, damn, I would love to work with that guy. Or Yuto, I'd love to work with that dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily look at it like, you know, me as a skater. I look at it just like, I would love to push that dude into what I see he could be. You know, not to say it about fucking Yuto or whatever, but like, I think Jagger, like, he could really be something different, I want to say, but like, he doesn't have to sort of be ostracized, you know?
No,
Within
he
the
should
core.
be.
Within the core, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
He
'cause
shouldn't.
he's so good, you know?
Yeah, it's like what someone does on a skateboard, that's what matters, you know?
Yeah. You see what he can do in a contest run, like
Ugh.
what can you do one time out of 50, right? I want to know what you can barely do. Because you could do the fucking craziest shit every goddamn try. Like, what can you barely do? I want to see a part full of what Jagger could barely do. Because he could do switch front ollie face high, but it's like, god damn, maybe he could do, you know, switch frontside ollie revert.
He definitely could.
You know what I mean? Or like switch front 540 maybe. Like what could he barely do? I wonder, you know? That's what I want to
Yeah.
see.
You're a lot like I am in that you can see somebody's best potential and you want to bring it out of them.
People like me and you are going to be the ones that end up filming and managing and stuff like that. Like you couldn't bring in a square, you know what I'm saying? And be like, hey, maybe do a couple more stairs, Billy. Like, no,
Yeah.
dude. We had Mike Tronansky, and he would be like, you know, hey, I see you're doing like ollie over the channel to fucking 50 backside 50-50, you know? He's like, I think you can do ollie to 5-0 fakie. I'm like, what? And then like 10 minutes later, I'm
Boom.
making it, and it's in the montage of Hocus Pocus, you know? And that was like, Mike would make you believe some shit. the 8th Street squad early on was fucking gnarly, you know? I wished I had that in later years.
Do you still skate?
Once in a while. I mean, I skate, Stoner Park we have here, or I'll skate the Sand Gaps, the Santa Monica curbs, the Nautis curbs, just with the buddies.
Nice.
Yeah, I need to skate more, but been running this alcohol company and getting married and all that stuff. So
Mix in a little bit of skateboarding and it makes all the rest so much sweeter.
I need to. Try to
For
get the leg.
yourself.
I go in phases. If I'm not like super stoked, I just won't force myself and beat myself up over it. But then I'll get sparked and like, my buddies will be around and skating a lot, and then we'll just all kind of skate. I do it when it feels right. You know what I mean? I don't try
That's
to push
awesome.
it. Yeah.
I mean, because it feels good. That's what it's all about.
Well, plus I still like hold myself to kind of a higher, a standard where I'm like, my switch heel flips aren't working right. What the fuck? Like I'm trying to have more fun with like, oh, it took me so long to learn backside tail sides on a ramp or something. Like I should appreciate that and like enjoy it, instead of like, I gotta do it to shove it, like at 51, or still like typically I'm like, I should be doing it to shove it out. Like, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Just enjoy the back tail, buddy.
Skateboarding, I think if you never stop, then you'll always have the basics.
Body's getting old though, bro.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Yoga.
Yeah.
You were kind of slept on. Like, one of my last questions for you is, who do you think are some of the most slept on skaters ever that people don't really know about?
Casey Rigney, mid 90s, late 90s. No one can fuck with him. Even into the 2000s. Yeah. Slept on? I would say like an Aaron Dieter. Alfonso, even though we just said he's one of the best all around, like I would sing Alfonso.
You better cut that nonsense, brother, cause now in 92, the force be getting rougher. The other MCs, I think you had enough for. You want something new, you're looking something tougher. I sport the hood because I'm undercover. After one slip, you probably want another. Write my own lyrics, never did a cover. Time for me to rip and take shit like a mother. I'm the lyrical Rocky, best you stand still. The world's gonna spill when I'm a skills bottom mill. All of y'all talking about the force ain't ready. Claiming I smooth just, I ain't Teddy. You supposed to check when you hear a new concept. Rapper busting their necks, you rather check a dance step. I'm a flex with a gift for the kids to step. So all of y'all keep dissing, cause I'm a diss next. You better run for cover.
Yeah, those are my top three. Casey Rigney, Aaron Dieter, Travis Stenger, who's out of Canada. Obscure, there's some obscure ones, but that's why they're underrated.
Your ego like an ego Lego and let's get low. And it's swinging for the pennant from the get-go. 9 to 5 surviving, they jiving, I get depressed. So I put a beat on it, beat it up like I'm Bruce Lee. Plant a need like a seed, grow it like a spruce tree. I move from ignorance to insight, cause I'm a complex human being, just like everyone you seeing. Keep that thought in mind when you formulate your reason. There's a reason for the season, and if seeing is believing, best believe I see achieving.
Even a Paul Rodriguez, I think, is not respected in the way as far as how good he is and what he's put down. Hardworking, multi-generational talent.
Was raised on that hard work ethic. They never taught me how to hate, only how to be better. Sharp like cheddar, my letters will lop your head up. Leave you looking like Ace Ventura in a getter. Keep in my form, break it out, man. Finkel is iron on, laces out there. Everything you see ain't what it is. I don't watch the news cause they use full of shit.
Miles Silvis, too. He doesn't come up in like, who's the best right now conversations. It's like, dude, he looks the best on a board. He can do fucking any trick.
Hard worker, perseverance, thought that was enough. I'm calling it bluff. Papaya Kings on the scene, dare to dream, taking things, so they calling us puff. We the best in the universe, the rest don't cut it. You need to pay attention, money.
But there's so many people, man, I think now though it's more sort of there's silos for everyone, you know, no matter what you're into. Like Andy Anderson, like who the fuck would have thought, you know what I mean? And I love the kid. I see him all the time here in Venice. I love that he has such a following, you know, but you would have never thought that would have been possible before him, you know, like helmeted Canadian dude. He's so sick. Like he's so fascinated with his board. You have to have that OCD focus on the mechanics of a board. If you don't have that, you're not going to just be, I just grab my board and I send it. Like, no, dude. You need to know the way a truck sits when it locks into a crooked grind or just be zoning out. I think great skaters got to have that weird fascination with their skateboard. You can pull things from him. You can pull things from a lot of people, you know. And that'll, you know, who he influences will create some other kid, you know, that's like learning right now, you know. So just watching like I shot in him, you know. So yeah, just keeps going, man. Who knows what people are gonna be doing in fucking 100 years, huh?
Well, right on, Jay. I think that's a good place to wrap this up. We went all the way through into the future.
I love chatting about this stuff, man. You know,
no doubt. Keep in touch.
Yeah,
make it over
sure.
to Dominican Republic sometime. If I get out to California, I'll definitely hit you up.
For sure.
And congratulations on everything you got going on. And bro, thanks a lot for your time. This is amazing.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Metaver.
Yeah.
Free Palestine. Leave in whatever you want, bro.
Okay.
All right, my G. Good talking with you.
Right on.
All right, have fun down there. Get barreled for me.
I will, for sure.
Yo, you know where we from, only the strong survive. 2 for 5, how the song divides. Some say you gotta save the best for last, but cats better come first before I check your ass.
I'ma go out with a blast, kick my last verse ever, and reminisce about my past. Try to get